Welcome to multiplication of number bases. In this lesson, I'll be showing you how to multiply number bases together. What are the things we need to note when multiplying number bases together? The first thing we need to know, when you multiply number base, when you multiply numbers and the result is less than the required base, then the result can be written directly. For an instance, if you have 2 multiplied by 2 all in base 5, 2 times 2 will give 4. The result is 4, and 4 is less than 5, which is the base. 5 is the base. That means we can write the result directly. Another thing to note when multiplying number base, when you multiply numbers and the result is greater than the required base, all you need to do is to divide the result by the required base in order for you to obtain the remainder and the whole number. For an instance, you're given 2 multiplied by 4 all in base 5. 4 times 2 will give 8. If you look at it, 8 is greater than 5. So in such scenario, what we need to do is to say 8 divided by 5. How many times will 5 go in 8? So how many times will 5 go in 8? 5 will go in 8 one time. So how do we get the remainder? 5 times 1, that will give us 5. So we remove that 5 from 8, that's 8 minus 5 for us to get our remainder, and that will give us 3. So our remainder is 3. So what we need to do, instead of writing the value here to be 8 for our 2 times 4 to be 8, all we need to write down is the remainder. So we write down the remainder as 3, and then we carried this whole number 1, we carry it to the next stage of multiplication. So since we don't have any next stage here, all we need to do is to write the 1 directly there. Another point of note when multiplying number base, when you multiply numbers and the result is equal to the required base, then what you do is to divide the result by the required base in order for you to obtain the remainder and the whole number. So what do we mean by this? For an instance, you're given 12 multiplied by 4 all in base 5. So we'll start with the first one, 4 times 2. 4 times 2, that will give us 8, and our result here, 8 is greater than 5. So I've shown you that when the result is greater than 5. Okay, so that means we have 8 divided by 5. So we want to see how many 5 will go in 8. So 5 will go in 8 one time, remainder 3. Okay, so we're going to write down the 3, which is the remainder, and then carry the whole number to the next stage of multiplication. So the 1 is there right now. Then we now have 4 multiplied by 1, that will give us 4. Then we add the 1 that we carry there, which is the whole number, 1 plus that 4, and that will give us 5. So this is the main one that I'm talking about. The result that we obtain there is equals to the base. So what we need to do there is for us to take that result, divide it by the required base, so that we can obtain the remainder and the whole number. So 5 divided by 5. How many 5 will go in 5? 5 will go in 5 one time, and then remainder 0. So what we need to do is to write down the remainder. We write down the remainder and then carry 1, which is the whole number, to the next stage of multiplication. If there is any number left, because there is no number left, so we just write the 1 direct there. Now is the time to look at the first example. We asked to evaluate 52 in base 6 times 3 in base 6. So we're going to arrange the number 52 times 3 as in this manner. So let's start now. 3 multiplied by 2, that will give us 6. So the result 6 that we obtained there is equals to our required base. You know, our required base is 6. So in that scenario, what you need to do is to say 6 divided by 6 so as to obtain your remainder. So how many times will 6 go in 6? 6 will go in 6 one time, and what will be the remainder? The remainder will be 0. So 6 times 1 will give 6. So you say 6 minus 6, and that will give 0. That's where we got the 0 from. Okay, so you write down the 0 and then take up this whole number, which is the 1, to the next stage of multiplication. Okay, so the next stage now, we say 3 multiplied by 5, and that will give us 15. So we add that 1 that we carry there to it, and that becomes 16. So that 16 that we obtained as the result, is it less than the required base or greater than the required base? So the 16 is greater than the required base, which is 6. So what we need to do is to say 16 divided by 6. So how many times will 6 go in 16? 6 will go in 16 2 times. So 6 times 2, that gives us 12. So if we say 16 minus 12, that will give us 4. So our remainder is 4. Okay, what we need to do now is to write down the remainder. So after that, now we carry this whole number 2 to the next stage of multiplication. So we have 2 there. Then if you look at this place now, there is no any other digit here now, so that means we can just write the 2 direct. Our final answer here for the multiplication is 240 in base 6. Now is the time to walk you through the example 2. In this example, we asked to evaluate 1412 in base 6 times 25 in base 6. So try to arrange your numbers first. 1412 multiplied by 25, all in base 6. Then rule a single line. The reason being that you need to multiply this number by these 2 digits, digit 2 here and digit 5. But we'll start first and foremost by multiplying through with this digit 5, and then secondly we multiply through by digit 2. So let's start with digit 5. 5 times 2, that will give us 10. So is 10, the result that we obtained there, is it greater than our required base or less than our required base? So 10 is greater than 6. So all we need to do is to say how many times will that 6, which is the required base, go in 10. So we have 10 here and 6 here. 6 will go in 10 one time, remainder 4. So 6 times 1, that is 6. 10 minus 6, and that will give us 4. So that's where we have the remainder from. So we're going to write down the remainder, which is the 4, and then carry this whole number 1 to the next stage of multiplication. So next thing we now say 5 multiplied by 1, that will give us 5, and then we add that 1 that we carried there to it, and that will give us 6. So 6 that we obtained as a result there is the same thing as the required base, so all we need to do is to divide through. So 6 will go in 6 how many times? That is 1 time, remainder 0. So we write down the remainder 0, and then we carry this 1, which is the whole number, to the next stage of multiplication. So we have the 1 there. So we now say 5 multiplied by 4, that gives 20. Then we add that 1 that we carried there. 20 plus 1, that will give us 21. So is 21 the result we obtained there? Is it greater than the required base or not? So it's greater than required base, so we try to divide through to get the remainder. So 21, how many 6 will go in 21? The 6 that will go in 21 is 3. So what will be remaining? 6 times 3, that's 18. 21 minus 18, so it will be remaining 3. So we're going to write down the remainder. Okay. And then the next thing now is to carry this whole number 3 to the next stage of multiplication. So we now say 5 multiplied by 1. So and that will give us 5. So that 5 now plus this 3, that will give us 8. So the question will be, that 8, the result we obtain, is it greater than this 6, the required base, or not? So 8 is greater than required base. So we try to know how many times 6 will go in 8. So 6 will go in 8 one time, remainder 2. So we're going to write down the remainder, and then we carry the 1, which is the whole number, to the next stage of multiplication. If you look at this place now, there is no other digit here that we can multiply, so all we need to do is to write down the 1 directly. Now is the time to multiply the 1412 by the next digit, which is 2. Okay, in order for us to multiply through now, so this is what I want you to note here. We are not going to put the result directly under 4. This 4 is the last digit, so we put the result, we started from the second digit to the last digit, and the second digit in this result, 12304, the second digit to the last is this 0. So that means we start off below this 0. So now we have 2 multiplied by 2, that will give us 4. So our 4 result there is less than this 6, so we can write our 4 directly under the 0. So don't write it under this 4, which is the last digit of that particular multiplication of the digit 5. Okay, the next one now we'll say 2 multiplied by 1, and that will give us 2. So the result 2 is less than the required base, which is 6, so we can write it directly. The next phase of multiplication, 2 times 4, that gives us 8. 8 is greater than our required base. 8 is greater than 6, so we say how many 6 will go in 8? You can see right here, 6 will go in 8 one time, remainder 2. So we write down the remainder, and then the 1, which is the whole number, we carry it to the next phase of multiplication. The next one now will be 2 multiplied by 1, and that will give us 2. Then we add that 1 to it, 2 plus this 1, that will give us 3. And the 3 is less than this 6, so we can write down the 3 directly. Okay, now we've been able to multiply the 1412 by digit 5 to obtain 12304, and then for the second phase we multiply the 1412 by digit 2 to obtain 3224. Now is the time for us to add them together, so we draw a double line now to add them together. So let's do the addition. 4 plus, when you see empty like this, it means 0. 4 plus 0, that will give 4. So 0 plus 4, that will give 4. You can see that I'm writing the numbers directly because 4 is less than the 6. That's the reason why I wrote this 4 directly. Assuming the value you obtain here is greater than the required base, so you need to perform this that we did. Maybe you say how many times will the base go in that particular result that you've obtained. Okay, the next thing will be 3 plus 2, that will give 5, and our 5 is less than 6, so we can write the 5 directly. 2 plus 2, that's 4. 4 is less than our required base, which is 6. We can write the 4 directly. Then 1 plus 3, that's 4. So 4 is less than 6. We can write the 4 directly. So our final answer for this multiplication is 44544. Now is the time to look at the example 3. In this example, we are asked to evaluate 1101 in base 2 multiplied by 101 in base 2. So arrange the number first. 1101 times 101, all in base 2. Then rule a line under them. Okay, the next thing to do now, we are going to be multiplying 1101 by this digit. So we start off by multiplying 1101 by this digit 1 that is here, and the next one will multiply 1101 by this digit 0, and then the next one will now be for us to multiply 1101 by this last digit 1 here. So let's start now. 1 multiplied by 1, that will give us 1, and our result, which is 1, is less than the required base. Our required base is 2. 1 is less than 2, so we write down the 1 directly. 1 times 0, that will give 0. Anything multiplied by 0 is still 0. So that means our value is 0. 0 is less than 2. We can write the 0 directly. 1 multiplied by 1, that will give us 1. 1 is less than 2, so we can write the 1 directly. 1 times 1, that will give us 1, so we can write the 1 directly. It's less than the required base. Okay, we've been able to multiply the 1101 by digit 1. So the next phase now, we move to this digit 0. So we're using digit 0 to multiply 1101. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start this one off from the second digit to the last. That means we're starting this one below the second digit to the last. If you look at 1101, the last digit is this 1, but the second digit to the last is this 0. So we're going to start this one below the 0. So 0 times 1 will give us 0. So we write 0 under that. And then the next one, 0 times 0, that will give 0. So we write the next one under here. So that will be 0. And then the next phase will now be 0 times this 1, and that will give 0. So we write the 0 under this. Next one now will be 0 times this last digit, which is the 1. 0 times 1, that will still give 0. So we write it direct. All of these, they are less than the required base. That's the reason why we wrote them directly. So the next thing to do now is to do the next phase, which is this digit 1 multiplying 1101. So in order to do that, you have to shift where we're going to write the result now to this place. That's under this 0 now. That's where we're going to start writing from. We're not going to write under this place. We write under this 0 now. So let's try to do that. 1 times 1, that will give 1. So 1 is less than 2, so we can write the value directly. The next one, 1 times 0, that will give 0, so we write the 0 under here. Next one will be 1 times 1, that will give 1, so we write the 1 directly because it's less than the required base. 1 times 1, so that will give 1, so we write it directly. It's less than the required base. We've been able to multiply all the 3 digits, so now is the time for us to add them together. So do your double line now to add them together. So let's go now. 1, you can see there is empty here, there is empty here. It means 0. 1 plus 0 plus 0, that will give 1. 1 is less than the required base, which is 2. So we write it directly. 0 plus 0 plus 0, this place is empty. That will give 0. 1 plus 0 plus 1, that gives 2. If you look at it, that result 2 that we obtain is equals to our required base. So what we need to do is to say how many times can 2 go in 2. 2 will go in 2 one time, remainder 0. So we're going to write down the remainder and then transfer the whole number to the next stage. So we write down 0, and then we transfer this one whole number to the next phase of we adding. So we now have this one that we carried plus the one that is there, so that gives us 2. 2 plus 0 plus 0, that will still give us 2. So we can't write down the 2 because our result there is 2, is the same thing as the required base. All we need to do is to say how many times will 2 go in 2. So that will be 1, remainder 0. So we're going to write down the remainder and then carry the whole number 1 to the next phase, and then we have 1 plus 0, that will give 1. 1 plus 1, that will give 2. So we can write down the 2. All we need to do is to say how many times will 2 go in 2, and that will give us 1, remainder 0. We're going to write down the remainder and transfer this one whole number to the next phase. 1 plus 1, that will give us 2. We can write down the 2, so we say 2 in 2, that will give us 1, remainder 0. So we're going to write down the remainder and then carry the 1, which is the whole number, to the next phase. So if you look at it now, we don't have any other thing to add now, so all we need to do is to write down this 1 as the last one. So that means for this multiplication our final answer is 1000001.